Hello and welcome to the FPLScope podcast. This is right before the final Gameweek, before the World Cup break, and we are waiting, like the last 2 weeks, for early team news to make our transfers. We had a bit of an issue, me and Kevin, last week. I was in London. If you watched last week's episode, you would have seen me being with Kevin in London. And basically, for the deadline, we didn't really plan as much as we should have. So we were both on our separate errands when the deadline was about to come up and the leaks came. So that became, an interesting story that I'll tell pretty soon. But first, I'm just going to introduce my guests, co-hosts, as they were. First, I'm going to go to Kevin. How you been? You obviously had a birthday. You're 29 years old now. You're pretty close to 30. How's life?
Can't complain, I guess. Life's pretty good. It's just a shame that FPL, Pep, Foden, Haaland, everyone just keeps screwing me over. But I'm still surviving and had a great birthday, mainly thanks to you as well. So I'll give you where the props are due, I guess.
Thank you. And Kimo, what was your deadline like? How did you handle the leaks and the deadline and the transfers and stuff?
To be honest, I was pretty chill because I knew somehow that the app is going to work. So I used the app. App was working very smoothly. I was a bit stressed in the beginning when I saw the site is crashing, but yeah, it's for everyone. I opened up the app really quickly. It was working. So I was like, oh, now I'm going to do my transfers really calmly. And I waited for the early news. I saw Haaland is on the bench. I saw Foden, so I sold them both. I got De Bruyne. He got an assist and bonus. I got Alvarez. He got 3 bonus, 1 goal. Really beautiful goal, which is reminding me of Aguero's finish. Yeah, he really reminds me of Aguero, just like up at the top. Really, really typical Aguero goal. So I did my transfers. It was successful, but more stressful when Haaland came playing again. So it will put me in a dilemma. We'll come to that later.
Yeah. So you obviously were ready for the deadline. Me and Kevin were a bit unprepared, like I mentioned earlier. I'm going to go deeper into that now. Saturday, when the deadline was basically Kevin's birthday, November 5th. And he was going to have a big birthday party later that evening. And we needed, some people were staying over at his flat after the party. So we needed an air mattress. So I got the task to go buy the air mattress while Kevin and his brother went out to get haircuts. And this was the same time as the deadline. We sort of like gathered once we were out and about. So I was on my way to Greenwich in London on the tube, and I figured like, oh damn, the deadline will come up, and the like the whole team news and ticks leaks will come with the Man City match. So I should really be aware, and I should send the message to Kevin as well, like make sure you're aware that the deadline is here. But yeah, so I messaged Kevin like there will be deadline news at 1:10 UK time. That's what the leaks said and stuff. And that I was going to send him like a message if Haaland or Foden are benched or not. So basically, I went to buy the air mattress, but Kevin and his brother had sent me to the wrong address. So I went to like a collection.
That's incorrect. I definitely told you to go to the correct place. And then Tim's like, let's go to Greenwich.
Fair enough. Okay, so Kevin's brother sent me to the wrong place. I was going to go to Stratford initially, to the big Westfields there, and buy that Argos, but instead I was sent to Greenwich, where I went to like a Sainsbury's collection point where I couldn't really order anything. It was just like, if I had already ordered, it would be there, but I hadn't ordered their matches. But anyways, I arrived there around like 1 UK time, so like right before the leaks. So I would just like decided to just stay because I knew like my interconnection on my phone wouldn't be the best abroad. So I just figured like I'll just stay here where I have a good interconnection. I'll just stay here until the leaks and do my transfers as soon as I can if I get news. So basically, 10 minutes later, I was still in the Sainsbury's waiting for team news, and then obviously the Instagram video leaked with like this guy pretending to be Pep or impersonating Pep, bringing the team news.
He was good.
Yeah, it was good. So I was basically in the Tesco just like, hold up, I gotta listen to these team news real quick before I do my transfers. So just standing there, updating my team or updating the FPL app. And then I heard that Foden and Haaland were not going to play from start, so I figured, yeah, I should just sell them. And I quickly did transfers. I did De Bruyne. Well, we'll get to the transfer later, but I quickly did my transfers. And then I messaged Kevin straight away, just said like Haaland, Foden benched, but he still hadn't seen like my previous message that he should be aware.
Cutting his hair.
He was sitting in the hairdresser just getting his haircut, so he was not aware of the deadline.
I can imagine.
So yeah, Kevin wasn't even on the app trying to get in, or he didn't even get blocked from doing the transfers and getting the page that plenty of you saw where you're unavailable to load the requested page at this time. But to be fair to Kevin, he had already done 2 transfers, so I'm not sure that he would have done transfers anyway, but either way, that's the story of how the early team news.
Lesson learned, Kevin. Never cut your hair at the deadline time.
I mean, man, I didn't expect it to take 2.5 hours to get my fucking haircut. So I was just like, what's going on? Because I thought about it. I'm like, oh God, FPL is coming up soon. But then I'm like, you know what? He's making my beard look sick, so I'll just let him do his thing. And then I just yeah. It happens, right? At the end of the day.
But yeah, so that's a lesson learned for next week. We will have the same problem, I guess, for the next game week, where City have once again for the 3rd game week in a row. They have the early fixture. Yeah. I was affected the last game week before game week 14 when I tried to do Foden to Almiron and it didn't go through. That has cost me about 15-20 points.
I really think that they did it on purpose. I just have this slight doubt that I don't know. It's not coincidence 2 times in a row. I don't know.
I mean, they really should have made their service better, but I saw on FPL Reddit that some guy had like complained through email and gotten a response, and they said that they looked into the issue and it's not going to happen again, or they're going to try to make it not happen again. But we'll see. It's going to be a lot of traffic right before the deadline, so that's the question. Also, should you do the transfers before the leaks, or do you want to wait for the leaks? But we'll get into that later as well. But I know that all 3 of us will be ready at the computer, by the computer, when the deadline leaks is happening this week, I'm sure. But anyways, that's enough of the past week's introduction. What happened then? Let's go to this week's content and the table of contents. I've gone through this table the last few episodes as well, but I will just quickly run through it again. We start with our Game Week 15 teams, just looking at the transfers we did make and which players we had and how they scored this game week. Then we look at the fixtures, and there's only one fixture to look at this week because it's the final game week before the World Cup, like I mentioned. And that means that our Make the Case or our Players to Watch section is players that you can take a 1 week punt on this week, pretty much. And then after that, we go over to the weekly wildcard drafts. This week, Haaland is back as the number 1 pick for me, and we'll see who follows him. This is also assuming he's fit to start, which I think he's going to be. And then finally, we look at our Game Week 16 plans. What are we doing for our transfers and captaincy? Again, Haaland will be yet another time he will be an interesting point of discussion, which is why we made our podcast or this episode named Erling News. So his Norwegian name, Erling, doesn't work with the play on words. You have that there, but Erling. I mean, you get the joke. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to our Game Week 13 scores. I am number 1 this week in terms of the order. And I had a really good game week, so I went up. Well, my season hasn't been that good so far, but it gave me a green arrow up to about 1.5 million, which is one of the best ranks I've had so far this season, which is really depressing. But one of the main reasons for that was Gabriel Magalhaes, who scored a beautiful goal. He tapped it in from 2 centimeters against against Chelsea. Thank you, Kai Havertz, for letting the ball pass past you.
And Cucurella as well.
Yeah, Chelsea's defenders were not on their best behavior in that match for sure. And then also Trippier, of course, every single game week he provides points. He got subbed off before they conceded, so perfect for me who has only Trippier and no Pope or Botman or any of those guys. So that was perfect for me. One guy who's not perfect for me is Cancelo, who is well and truly cursed since I brought him in. He got a red card, -2, which is what I've come to expect when Cancelo is in my team. He's usually amazing when I don't have him and not that good when I have him, and he's still true to form. I brought in Kevin De Bruyne for Foden, and I brought in Wilson for Haaland. I did the double transfer after I saw the leaks. Kevin De Bruyne was my captain. That was the main reason I did those transfers to captain KDB. He got 7 points times 2, which is 14, which is okay for a captain. But if I hadn't done the captaincy change move, I probably would have captained Salah. And that's
Why
15
didn't
points.
you do Alvarez?
That's the thing. That's what I was saying earlier, that I was just so stressed because of the deadline and being in the shop without a good internet connection. I was just like, I need to do Wilson. Has been good. Wilson is really good. So I just got him straight away without thinking that, okay, of course, Alvarez will start now that Haaland's not playing. But to be fair, I also thought about more than just this game week, also next game week, because I know you guys, or Kimo, you're the only one who has Alvarez. You're thinking of selling him because he's probably not going to start if Haaland is back. So Wilson against Chelsea is better than...
You never know if we get a league.
You never know, but Wilson against Chelsea is better than Alvarez potentially.
I actually bought him for 1 week punt, and just like I expected him to score more than 1 goal. Yeah. And that would have been the case if Cancelo didn't get the red card early.
That's true. So definitely, I think I mentioned this to Kevin right after the deadline, or once we met up again with him with a new haircut and me with an air mattress. I think I mentioned like, I probably should have done Alvarez rather than Wilson, but it was just.
So you would if you had like more time, you would have done Alvarez.
I probably would have. But looking forward, it's not like I lost 8 points from it, but looking forward, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Wilson might be better now. Obviously, I didn't expect Wilson to be subbed off at the half, but that was always a risk considering he had been sick previously in the week. So so Wilson only got me 1 point. He was one of the disappointments, along with Martinelli, got only 3 points. He's been tapering off a bit lately. Salah got 15 points, as I mentioned. And then we come to Wilfried Zaha, who had 12 points against my favorite team, West Ham, which was sad for me as a West Ham fan, but at least I kept him in my FPL team. I was going to sell him. If it wasn't for the Man City leaks, I would have sold him for either Rashford or Trossard. So luckily I earned points from that. But
that's what I did.
At the same time, I would have sold Scamacca as well if it wasn't for the Foden and Haaland benchings. And Scamacca got a 1-pointer getting subbed off at the half, which makes me question if he's going to start the next match as well. Jesus also kind of a disappointment, only 2 points, but that's what you get with Jesus away games.
Is it the reason you kept Zaha? Is it because you saw Kevin and you had like a good memories from Zaha beating Kevin some years back?
Nah, it's mostly
a nostalgia thing.
I mean, we'll get to that when you come to your transfers, but I figured like Zaha versus Trossard. I really want Trossard still. I wanted him last week as well, but I figured like 4 points and Zaha or Trossard. I'll just stick with Zaha. And also, like I said, I didn't have much time. I think the site would have crashed on me anyway because of the internet, so I wouldn't been able to do it like after I did the 2 transfers initially. So that was my reasoning for that. Once again, my bench was pretty good. Ward, another clean sheet on my bench for like the 5th time in 6 game weeks or something. And yet another time, Bailey on my bench with a goal. He scored against Man United. He scored, I just saw this stat right before the podcast actually, that he scored his 4th goal for Aston Villa, and all of them have been for different managers, which is kind of a interesting point. So let's see if he can score more than 1 goal for...
I think we said it last podcast when we said that he thrives under a new manager when he comes to...
Yeah, and now he scored for his 4th manager. Yeah, Kevin?
Yeah, no, I was also mentioned in the previous thing that wingers are the forefront of Unai Emery's plans, and that's exactly what happened, and he scored. So
Aston Villa had a really good start under Emery. But that was my game week. That was 75 points in total, which was really good. I'm really happy with that. Finally, I had a good game week. It's been a long time. We'll move on to someone who didn't have as good of a game week, but has a better rank than me, and that is Kevin.
Yeah, in regards to my game week 15 team, generally speaking, I'm not super unhappy with it. It's just that obviously the Zaha Trossard thing hurt, but if you think about it, I was always going to get rid of Zaha prior to a lot of this type of stuff, and he's been hit and miss if Antonio wasn't so terrible at football, he probably wouldn't have gotten 12 points as well, because he very obviously screwed up the chance that could have made sure that West Ham won, but obviously led to the counter that Elise managed to freakishly score, because it took a pretty nasty deflection, in my opinion, but I guess the shot was always on target. Other than that, Matthias stunk up my team by getting Cancelo sent off. Haaland played, scored, then was offside, and then scored a penalty, then stupidly took off his jersey to get a yellow card and remove a bunch of bonus.
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin, who got 2 points, got injured. Wilson, again, Matthias jinxed him. Saka got stolen a goal from, if I was an Arsenal fan or just a fan of any football team, I want Gabriel to kick the ball in to make sure the ball goes in. But as a Saka owner, instead of an assist, that could have gone a goal and bonus 3 and whatever. But generally speaking, considering my game week last week, I can't get that angry at 52 points. Yes, it's below the average, I think, in the end, but that's FPL. 1 week it goes super well, the next week it goes, bad. But you know what? I got a fresh trim. I had a great birthday. Life is good. I can't complain. Over to Chemo for his wonderful team.
Yes. Let's take a look at Chemo's team. You made 3 transfers, Chemo. Take us through your thought process behind the transfers.
Well, as I said, it's mandatory transfers. Both of them were not playing Foden and Haaland. As I said, was lucky that the application was working, and I had like 10 minutes to navigate. I really wanted De Bruyne. He's been talking that he wants to get better and get better. And Pep was like, yeah, De Bruyne is not at his best. The best is yet to come, and so on. So I really wanted him in my team, especially after his last 2 beautiful goals in the against Leicester, wasn't it? And Alvarez was like the logical option for me. He's starting. They're playing against a shitty team. They're gonna win with 2 or 3 goals, and that didn't really happen. It was like the weakest defense in the league, but the Cancelo red card at the beginning was really frustrating, I would say. So Raya was a 2 points, and I have no word, luckily, so I don't regret his clean sheet on the bench. Cancelo -2, Trippier, as usual, no need to talk about it. Gabriel was really lucky. I was so surprised. I was actually like buying some food from the supermarket, and I got like the notification. I was like hoping it's either Saka or Martinelli, 1 goal, 1 assist, or something like that. And I opened the notification. I was like, Gabriel. I was like, wow, really? This is so cool. You know what I mean? Out of the blue, 1 unexpected goal, 15 points, really good and handy. Saka 5 points, Martinelli, I cannot complain from both of them. Trossard 1 assist. Would have expected to get him more since I saw Zaha was 12 points. But anyway, back again, it was really wrong transfer, wrong decision. I should have kept Zaha. -4 and 12 points would have given me a lot of advantage to that. But I wanted Trossard just for the next 2 game weeks, and I expected him to score more than that. Salah, the Egyptian king, 2 goals, 15 points. That's lovely. De Bruyne captain. I would have still captained him once again. Alvarez 9 points, and the lazy man who never runs, who never shoots, who never does anything. And I have a little bit of grudge from you, Mateus. I felt like you pushed me to be convinced that Sakamaka is a really good option. I don't know. Just whenever I see him in my team, I remember you and I get angry at you. You know what I mean? That's why the reason I don't answer you on WhatsApp sometimes. It's because Sakamaka.
You made Sakamaka happen as well, because you praised him as well back when we did our wild cards. It wasn't just me. I was saying that he's been a good finisher. He's had some good home games for West Ham, and he did up until recently, of course.
Up until we bought him.
Yeah, of course, but that's the story of me and my West Ham players this whole season. Like, whenever I buy them, they don't do anything, and then when I don't have them, they're pretty good. So, that might be an indication.
Nothing to look at my bench. My bench is really miserable. Iverson with 0 points. He will fly right after this game week with some new transfers. Bueno 1 point. Williams 1 point. Archer, I don't know why is he doing in my team, but yeah, we'll come to that later.
You say that every week.
But totally 79 points was a -4. It's really good. I had like a green arrows in all the mini leagues, so really happy about that. And thanks, I think, to Gabriel and Alvarez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we both did one good thing and one bad thing with our transfers this week. You did the -4 with Saha to Trossard, which I didn't do, but you also brought in Alvarez rather than me bringing in Wilson. So that earned you more points than me this game week in terms of the final points. But in terms of total points, since you did a -4 and I didn't, we both end up with 75 points. So it's
fair enough. Kevin is feeling bad to see us.
But yeah, as I was gonna say earlier, that I complained right after we did our wildcard in Game Week 13. We had a terrible game week, but now with Gabriel getting 15 points, we're getting some returns now finally on the wildcard.
And a clean sheet against Chelsea, that's unexpected.
Definitely. So we're getting some returns from our Arsenal players that we invested in with our wildcard, which Kevin does not have. Kevin only has Saka. So
I enjoy seeing him with a red arrow between us. Really lovely, delicious.
But yeah, so the league between us three, the internal league between us three, is tightening up a bit. But Kevin is currently our top ranked player. It's at 662k, while Kimo is 1.1 million. But yeah, that's our Game Week 15 teams. We'll move on to the next piece of content, which is the fixture ticker, which is really small this week because it's only one match per team before the World Cup break. So that is a good time for us to look at the difficulty rating system that I have created. You both trusted me to do the ratings in terms of difficulty for the teams. So looking at this chart here, looking at which matches I rate as the easiest and which matches I rate as the hardest.
Your bias was West Ham, I think.
This is probably true, but I haven't really changed. I didn't have the time to change the colors from last week. So West Ham lost against Crystal Palace, which is pretty bad. Hasn't been adjusted for, I guess. So West Ham away is grey fixture, which is 3 out of 5 difficulty rating, on par with Brighton away, which is it's not that big of a difference, I guess. But anything you can see, Kevin, that you disagree with in terms of the difficulty ratings?
Yeah, quite a few. To begin with, Newcastle, Chelsea. I would normally have been like, that's fine, but considering Newcastle's form as of late, I feel like it's I feel like it's a bit low. Should maybe be higher in terms of maybe do we really think Aston Villa against Brighton away is considered easier?
So you think the Newcastle away fixture should be considered easier than I have?
I think no. Oh,
if you want it harder, you want it
okay.
Lower
Fine.
Kevin, you're not in the birthday mood. Party.
Yeah. Sorry. Fair enough. You know what?
So I have
okay.
Newcastle away is my fourth most difficult fixture this week.
Fine.
It's only Liverpool away, Arsenal at home, and City away.
Fine. Then
I don't have disagreement. I think it's
no. Then it's fine, I guess.
You never know what kind of Aston Villa will show up against Brighton. I don't know. It's just weird, against like under Unai Emery. You never know. It's just, it can be like the magic effect of the new trainer. I don't know.
Yeah, fine. Then I don't disagree with anything.
We'll have to watch Aston Villa. They obviously had a really good match against Man United, won 3-1 under Unai Emery. They look really strong. So I currently have them as the easiest level of fixture, dark blue. That might change, but this is at home for Brighton. I think they have a good chance to score there. That's another reason why I might bring in Trossard, but let's take a look more at the stats for each team. This is the table where we have incorporated both the expected goals the last 6 game weeks and the expected goals conceded the last 6 game weeks. Interestingly enough, the best team for expected goals the last 6 game weeks is West Ham, which is kind of surprising considering in those 6 matches they had 2 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. So that tells you something about XG and that you shouldn't always trust it. They haven't really scored that many goals either. And to that point, I looked through the last 6 matches where they had the most and the least XG and stuff. And I think the Fulham match is where they clearly got most of the XG. That's also, coincidentally, that's the 6th match out of these 6 matches. So next game week, that match will go out. So West Ham will probably plummet in the rankings next game week.
But you never know. They're gonna play against Leicester. And one interesting information that I just found out against Leicester and West Ham, they scored 2 goals or more in the last 7 game weeks against Leicester in the league.
Yeah.
So they usually score 2 or 3 goals, and it's a really game full of goals.
They could easily score against Leicester, but they scored 3 goals and had 3.4, I think, XG against Fulham.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And just another point on the whole XG thing. Obviously, I looked at, like, the other thing with XG is it differs from site to site, because I think on Understat, which is like one of the free sites where you can look at XG, they had one Bowen chance at 0.96 in terms of expected goals, which is insanely high. So it's just like, what chance was this?
Yeah.
So I looked back at the replay, and it's basically in the 25th minute. It was a cross from Cresswell to Skamaka, who missed an open header from it was like 0.3 XG.
I remember
and then Bowen gets the rebound, but Bowen is right in front of the goalkeeper, so he shoots it into the goalkeeper and goes out to a corner. So it didn't look like 0.96 in my eyes. The Skamaka chance for 0.3 looked about as big as the Bowen chance. So, but on top of that, West Ham gained from 0.96 plus 0.3. They gained 0.2 or 1.26 in XG, and they can obviously only score 1 goal from that one chance, or that double chance. So that's also what you got to figure out with XG as well. There are some drawbacks to it in terms of rebound goals. You can't get 2 goals from you can get 2 XG from a situation where you can only get 1 goal. So you got to keep that in mind. Also, in terms of XG, they only count shots that are made. So people who miss the ball, like when the ball just passes by a striker's foot, that is not counted for XG. So there could be big chances where like people were a centimeter away from getting connection to the ball, and that didn't get registered as XG. So you should always have these things in mind when you look at XG and use stats. You should also use your eye tests. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts of XG and XGC. Kimo, do you have any? You've mentioned earlier that you like the eye test.
I think I take it in consideration, but it's not like the one thing that drive me to make a decision. I think so. Like looking at Man City, they have lower expected goals than so many teams on the table right now, like Leeds and Fulham. So I think again, Man City will score more goals. This is what you have to keep in consideration: the nature of the game. Is it home or away? Is it against like a weak team or not? Do they score more goals against them, and so on? So I just like to look at it sometime, but it's not like a basic thing for me to base my decision in it.
Yeah, Kevin, got any thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that, because nothing should be taken as the be all end all. And I feel that a lot of people put so much weight into XG and XGC. And I'm just like, you can't, because if you do, then we should all be tripling up on West Ham, and they suck. And no offense, but they haven't been performing in the way that, you know, this is making you think that they should, and etc. And I think eyeball test is for me much better. Like, you can see how a team plays, you know what to expect. But yeah, I mean, you can't I think you should take everything with a pinch of salt at the end of the day. But XG for me is a bit overrated in that regards, because it lets me down more times when I make a decision based on XG than when I do an eyeball test, essentially.
Take a look at Tottenham, for example, or take a look at Chelsea attack. It doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? I think Chelsea's still weak.
Chelsea attack, I think that makes sense. I have not been impressed by Chelsea offensively in the last few games.
No. I don't remember when was the last time I had a Chelsea attacker on my team. It's been so ages ago.
Anyways, to that point of XG and how we should take it with a pinch of salt, like Kevin said, the number 2 team for expected goals the last 6 game weeks is Leeds, which, fair enough, they scored 4 goals against Bournemouth last game week. That helps them in this case. Leeds, I almost said Leicester. Leeds are pretty good offensively, but defensively they're not that good. So it's an interesting team for sure. And then Fulham are 3rd. same as with Leeds, they're terribly defensively, which might help them go more offensive when they need to score. They're third with 9.73 xG. Leeds were at second with 79, I'm sorry. And then the bottom three, this might also be why Kevin is against it. The bottom team for XG is Everton, Kevin's favorite team, 4.87. Second from bottom is Southampton with 5.38. They just sacked Hasenhüttl and they still haven't assigned a new manager. We'll wait and see who they get. There's been some rumors about...
I think they have appointed one.
They've appointed someone.
Nathan
Larry
Jones,
O'Neill.
was it?
I don't know
The
O'Neill
Luton manager, or am I mistaken?
No, like I don't know O'Neill or Johnson. I don't remember, but they appointed someone. It's not a pretty famous face for me, but it doesn't really matter. He's not gonna do much between 1 week.
Yeah, especially the next week at Anfield against Liverpool.
I think Everton will score goals against Bournemouth. I am 100% sure they will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then third from bottom is Crystal Palace, who, they had decent XG against West Ham, but they still managed to score 2 goals. I
don't trust them, but they have a good opponent. I don't trust them, but yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of expected goals conceded, the top team is Man City, which I think we can all agree on as well. Yeah. Makes sense. Even though they got a red card, they still managed to beat Fulham, even with Cancelo gone. And yeah, I should have mentioned earlier, Cancelo, for those that are not aware, he is serving a suspension right now in City's League Cup fixture, so he'll be back for Gameweek 16. So there's no reason to sell him apart from the...
Foden is on the bench, by the way.
Yeah, Foden's bench, so that's good for him.
Alvarez starting, yeah.
That's good for both Foden and Haaland starting. For sure. So that's something we'll have to take into account for our future plans, which we'll get to pretty soon. Just to finish up with expected goals conceded, Arsenal are number 2, which also, again, makes sense. Gabriel Magalhaes, one of my favorites in FPL, one of my dad's favorites in FPL, actually. He was always in my plans to get him in, and for the wildcard, I brought him in, and that paid dividends this week against Chelsea. They're second with 4.38 XG, just slightly below Man City. And third for XG is Manchester United, which has also been a surprisingly good defense lately. Apart from against Aston Villa, they conceded 3 times, but still, they're a bit up and down still, Man United. But it seems like Ten Hag is onto something, at least, with Man United. So is there any team in particular that sticks out to you this week? Kimo, I'll start with you again.
No. All eyes on City, I think so. Many people will try to be cheeky and differential and go to Tottenham. If I had the luxury, if I'm in Kevin's position, I had Haaland and Foden and they're gonna start, I think naturally I would jump on Kane or Kulusevski or something like a Tottenham game should be targeted. Other than that, I think most of the people who sold Haaland will try to get Haaland back, or they will try to wait in the early news and get someone from City. I don't think any other attractive fixtures, only Leeds, Tottenham and Leeds, City and Brentford, Liverpool, Southampton. I think so, yeah. Yep. I can see otherwise.
Kevin, any gems you can see here? Any teams?
Yeah, I mean, if I were someone who had Dominic Solanke, I'd be very happy currently because we just lost to... Bournemouth 4-1 in the cup.
Obviously, I saw that. Yeah,
Everton had benched their entire starting 11 and everything like that, and Lampard's again been questioned over that decision because Everton are very desperate for a cup run and all this type of stuff. So for them to make that decision is very stupid. But generally speaking, I think if you have Bournemouth and Everton assets for whatever reason, be happy because I think that match always ends like 2-2, 3-3, 1-1. There's hardly ever clean sheets, and if there are clean sheets, it's never for Everton. So even though we bricked up the defense and whatever, I'm expecting a very high-scoring game, specifically because Bournemouth are playing at home as well. We don't tend to do well away from home against Bournemouth. So I think those assets are good. If you held on to Zaha, I think well done. I think he can definitely score against Nottingham Forest. Yes, Nottingham Forest are good at home, but Zaha is ridiculously streaky. When he scores one goal, it leads up to like 2-3 weeks of him doing so. So I'm just happy that the World Cup is coming up, because otherwise I'd be very pissed off to have put so much faith into him, sold him, and then now he's finally doing returns.
Yeah. So to the point of the Everton-Bournemouth fixture potentially being a goal fest, you can also see in terms of the worst teams for expected goals conceded, you have Bournemouth and Everton as two of the bottom three teams, with Bournemouth have 10.39 expected goals conceded the last 6 matches, while Everton have 10.43. The only team that's worse is Liverpool with 10.75, so maybe a cheeky Southampton player, you never know. But we will not be making the case for any Southampton players. We'll be making case for some other players in the top teams here, actually, Liverpool and Tottenham especially. So this is Make the Case, where we basically, make the case for a player this particular game week. We have 1 week punts, so the only players that are exempt are popular players that are owned by more than 10% in the total player base, or owned by more than 20% in the Content Creators League. So I have the first pick this week, and my pick is Kulusevski. I think if you have the means to get him, he's 8.0, so he's kind of on the expensive side in terms of midfielders. He has very good potential this game week at home to Leeds. He has shown already in his pretty short FPL career so far that he can be really explosive and get a goal and an assist and some bonus any given game, really. And he's still really low ownership. I think he's below 4% in total. So he's a really good player to have. He's obviously cheaper than Kane. Son is out, Richarlison is out, so he's going to play for sure. He gets assists. He got an assist against Liverpool last week pretty quickly. So there are plenty of good reasons to have him in. As you can see from his statistics, I've taken the stats from his first 4 game weeks this season when he was actually fit and playing every game. And they are decent numbers. They're nothing like extraordinary, but he showed last season that he can be way more explosive than these numbers say as well. The only drawback with Kulusevski is that he just came back, so I'm assuming he's going to start, but you never know how long he's going to play for since he's been out injured for a while. So that might be the only drawback for him, but good fixture, really good player. We all rate him highly. I know, especially me and Kevin. Kevin who's a fellow Swede, just as Kulusevski is. I know he rates him highly. And also Kimos watched him in the Serie A. I know you like him as well.
I really like him. I really like him. It's not only the Serie A. Like last season, he was really impressive in the Wenger. And he's ballsy. He has no fear, and he links really well with Kane. I noticed that the link up between him and Kane is much stronger recently when they play together than Son and Kane link up. I think so.
Yeah, for sure. So that's my player this week. Kevin, you have gone for Darwin Núñez, and why is that?
So I think the main thing with Darwin is he's very similar to Gabriel Jesus. This guy should be hauling. He should be getting way more points than he does. And it's unfortunate that the red card early in the season basically just put a damper on everything. I mean, he had just scored against Fulham, gotten that wonder, I can only think of the Swedish term of klack or back heel. There you go. He does like the nice little back heel, got the assist, and it just everything sort of became a bit tumultuous, and just things just sort of spiraled out of control. But I think his Champions League performances, he scored 3 goals in 3 games. He got an assist for Salah in the previous game, and it's starting to look up again. And I think it's just a matter of time before he starts finally being that 64 million player that they signed. The only thing that I have to say is very similar to Gabriel Jesus again, is the fact that he's super wasteful. Oh my God. You see a counterattack where he's at the start of it. He's got 3 other players to the right, and he still tries to cut past the defender and shoot. And then instead of doing a simple pass to Salah, he'll do an even more complicated pass to someone else. And, I think footballing IQ is a minus for him in that regard. It's not wasteful football IQ. He's just an idiot. But obviously with confidence, with goals and assists that are coming lately, I think you'll build up towards something big. And I think Southampton, Liverpool, it's always usually a high scoring game at Anfield. So I think that's should be why I can make a case for Darwin. Will I sign him in my FPL team? Probably not. But do I still think that he can haul and piss me off? 100%.
Who do you have in the attack, Kevin?
Currently, I have Haaland, Wilson, and DCL.
Yeah, so obviously the cost is also an issue for you.
There's
Yeah.
no way you're doing a -4 to get him.
No.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
fair enough.
we'll get to the transfer
I
plans
just-
pretty soon. but
Exactly. I just don't want to keep going minus regardless. So
Okay.
that's another thing.
Also,
But,
also, I think Kevin is worried about his temper issues. Kevin is always really high on not picking players that have temperamental
Yeah.
issues,
No,
like he's mentioned the last few
he's-
weeks. I remember Kimo made fun of him last week that he always brings up the temper of players.
Yeah,
so-
he did.
Yeah, but look at
Surprised.
but it happens. Look at Lewandowski just yesterday. Got sent off for no reason.
Yeah.
Temper issues. That's what
You should say sorry to Pedri. You cursed him on the WhatsApp and he scored.
I just said he had to learn how to shoot, and then he did in like a split second. So I'm very happy we won.
Yeah. You owe him an apology. But back to Darwin. I don't know. I think he's stopping the collective work at Liverpool. Like he's not like a team player, but I think he's explosive somehow. If Liverpool plays well, the thing is Liverpool is not playing well. They go one game very well, one game down, one game very well, one game down. So you mentioned something, Mateus, about his overperforming, something like that, to me on the WhatsApp or something.
Darwin, yeah, that was the point I was going to make. As you can see in the pros and cons section, it says lethal last season. He scored, I think, 22 goals from around 16 XG last season with Benfica. So like a year ago, he had no issues converting his chances, but it just seems like he's gotten off to the wrong start with Liverpool. And I think he can score way better than he has so far. So he's been like a expected goals monster so far, but he hasn't scored that many goals still. But I think that might change real quick. And like I think that's common among content creators for FPL, that we're all expecting Darwin at some point to get a major haul, but it's just a question of when he's going to get it. So I think Kevin might be onto something here with Southampton at home, and obviously the cost is an issue. That's probably why Kevin can't get him, I guess, because Kevin needs to sell Calvert-Lewin, as we'll see, and if Darwin was the same price, he would be a great option, but he's a bit
100%.
more expensive. So I don't know, that's the only issue with him, but I think if you have the money, then he's definitely someone I would consider personally as well. So yeah, you make a great case from Kevin, and now it's Kimo with one final case to be made. You have the unfortunate position of being number 3 this week, but you've picked a Leicester player that is not Maddison. So tell me about your pick, Kimo.
You just answered what was my thinking. A pick that is not Maddison, because Maddison is pretty popular. I think if you would go for one player from Leicester, everybody would go Maddison. And if you want like 1 week punt just to be like a differential, I think I would go for Barnes. He scored like a really beautiful goal last week. The thing is, he played 90 minutes, I think, last night. Or like he played a lot of minutes last night, but he's a bit differential, low ownership, and he scores. Nobody else in Leicester score goals. It's either Maddison or Barnes. Vardy scored 2 goals yesterday. Might be someone to look at, but I think it's just, for me, this fixture has a lot of goals, and yeah, he can be cheeky from the wing, scoring 1 or assisting. So the stats are not bad, really. Seven shots in the box, and if you look at Darwin, which is a stats man, only four shots in the box more than him. So he's really decent. I bought him so many times in the last 2 years. He got me some goals here and there. So yeah, I wouldn't go Maddison anyway, just if I want to climb up the ranks. But for me, speaking about Maddison, he would be the first name on my sheet after the deadline, like when I do the unlimited transfer thing. I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mark my words. And I'm not
gonna
gonna sell him ever again. I think so.
Okay. Well, we'll see about that.
That's one statement you can just like rewind the video in that episode and then get it back after the season ends. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a different player or different midfielder that I've the same thoughts about, but I'll get to that pretty soon in our weekly
Okay.
wildcard draft. But
Yeah.
just to mention it as again, the players that are exempt are the popular players in FPL, and Madison is too popular to be picked as like a 1 week punt type of player. This is like a list for players that you might not have in your team already. So that's why we have Barnes as one of the options. But yeah, I think all these three players are pretty good options. If you're one of those people who have saved your wildcard until this week, then obviously you can bring in all three if you want to. But yeah, not that many people have a wildcard left, but we're still going to do our weekly wildcard draft because it's not just about if you have a wildcard, it's also about which players are the most important to have in your team currently. And also, this will also serve as sort of like a free hit draft if you have a free hit, or well, you shouldn't use your free hit, but like I said, if you have your wildcard left, this is like the team you should get for 1 week only, pretty much. So you can just start going through the team. I already mentioned Haaland, assuming he's healthy, he should be your number one priority to get in. If you don't have him, if you're like me, sold him, you should get him. If you have him in your team, you should keep him and captain him probably.
Yeah.
If he's healthy and ready to play. Salah, Kevin picked Salah with number 2 pick. Can't really go wrong with that either. Scored 2 goals against Spurs. He's been in form lately. Chemo always rags about Liverpool being bad and this and that, but Salah's been scoring left and right lately. There's no reason to doubt the Egyptian king.
Yeah.
Not even for the Egyptian prince, Chemo.
Six goals in 16 games. Really terrible score.
Yeah, but he's picking it up lately, and especially also in the Champions League. So
he's on my team. But if I would have replaced him with De Bruyne, which he is on fire and guaranteed to.
We'll
score
see.
assist.
We'll see when we come to our future plans if you are that strong about Salah or De Bruyne. But we'll get to that. Once again, Kimo has picked a premium Spurs asset. Like I said, with Liverpool being bad lately, you can definitely say the same for Spurs. They've been on a downwards trajectory, but Kane has still, to be fair to him, has scored consistently lately. So, but yeah, just take me through why are you so keen on all the Spurs assets every week, Kimo?
If you remove Haaland, I think from the Premier League this season, and if you look at the stats of Harry Kane, I think 12 or 11 goals this season. I think 11 goals. I think the whole world would be speaking about the best season of Kane's career, and they're playing against Leeds, conceding 3 times from Bournemouth, playing against Spurs. It's an open game. I think before the break, everybody would be like less tactical. Just the last game of the season before going to the World Cup, so many players have a head on the vacation and so on. I think it will be open game. Kane will score. I think so. I think he's a decent pick, and he's having an extraordinary season.
Yep.
I just want to check how many goals he has. So far, I think it's 11 goals.
11 goals, really good and consistent.
Terrific.
So
yeah,
can't really fault that pick either. But seeing as we have Haaland, Kane, and Salah already, it's not going to be that many or that much transfer funds left. So I'm just going to go with a safe pick for the 4th pick, my 2nd pick, and that is Kieran Trippier, who's been an absolute FPL legend this whole season. I've had him this whole season. He's been like one of my few bright spots. His value has risen from 5.0 to 5.8, so if you don't have him already, he's more expensive now, but he's still worth the price. He still gets returns pretty much every single week. I think in the last like 7 or 8 game weeks, he has returned every game week except for 1, I think, against Spurs, coincidentally. But yeah, Trippier is just amazing. Next is Kevin, picked Trossard, who we've briefly mentioned earlier, but we've also talked about previous weeks as well. But Kevin, Trossard, why?
Trossard is just an essential player for De Serbi, and plays really attacking, is constantly in the box, constantly creating chances, constantly just all over the shop. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he somehow sneaks his way into a starting position for Belgium in the World Cup, because he's just been so stellar for Brighton. And I know that Roberto Martinez, former Everton, was very high on him as well too. So I think it's Trossard's season. It's classic, for someone with an expiring contract to play so well, because now all top clubs want him. And yeah, I think Trossard specifically has a point to prove, and I think it's just a easy choice.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm also a big fan of Trossard, and De Zerbi said recently that he doesn't need a new striker in January because he already has Trossard and Welbeck to play that
Okay.
position. So he's going to play further forward than he has
Who
so
said
far.
that?
De Zerbi.
De Zerbi. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Speaking of Kimo chimed in there, he also picked Almiron. We spoke a lot about Almiron last week. None of us have him in our squads. I obviously should have had him in my squad if it wasn't for the server issues before Gameweek 14, but hey, that's just how it is.
It's a stubbornness. I don't want to talk about him. He's scoring so fucking
Yeah,
missed
Almiron
goals.
is in the form of his life, so it makes sense for him to be in the squad, even though they play Chelsea. But Chelsea haven't been that good lately either, so it makes sense. Kulusevski, I just made the case for him. I don't need to make the case for him yet again. Benrahma, that's someone we haven't mentioned so far this game week, and Kevin has been pretty negative about West Ham, but you still picked Benrahma. So why did you go with Benrahma, Kevin?
Yeah, because Benrahma is the only good thing about West Ham lately. So, and yeah, I'm sure he's not happy with everything that shook down with the World Cup. And yeah, I think it's been sort of like Moyes hasn't really rated him ever throughout his time at West Ham. And now he's proving to everyone that actually there's a reason why he was such a highly rated player and he's scoring. I think he's just a nice differential pick.
Yeah. Speaking about a man on form, I think he's in really good form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. And he's also not that costly. He's 5.5, I think. So we don't have that much funds left, like I said, with Kane, Haaland, and Salah. So Benrahma is a cheap punt next to Almiron for the same price. Pretty good duo there of informed players. And then for the next two picks, Kimo chose Ben White and I picked Gabriel Magalhaes, doubling up on Arsenal defense. Makes sense to me. They've been really good defensively lately, and they have a decent fixture against Wolverhampton, who is one of the worst teams in terms of scoring goals, even though they scored 2 goals last week against our goalkeeper, Raya. But enough about that. We move on to the final striker. Kevin made a case for Bournemouth against Everton just not too long ago, a couple of minutes ago. So Solanke, another cheap option. Finally, we're succumbing to Solanke. We've all been pretty critical of him, but one match against Everton, go for it, I guess, if you don't have money to get a more expensive striker.
Speaking about Kevin, he disappeared, but
Kevin is having some technical issues this podcast, but he's trying to fix
it
his
has to happen. He's been ghosting on and off, but it's not a big deal. But Castagna, yes. Speaking about one week punt, I think he's one of the most attacking right backs in the Premier League when he's on form, and he's a one guy that can score like 1 or 2 goals suddenly out of the blue. So if you would gamble with a wild card, I know that so many people have their wild card hasn't been played yet. So if you have a wild card, I think I would go with Castagna. I would start him over White or Gabriel this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or even over Solanke or someone else maybe as well.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're doubling up with Ward. Finally, he's the number 1 goalkeeper, not the number 2 goalkeeper. He's always been the second thought, always been on my bench, on every one of our benches really, and scored a lot of points on the bench, which hasn't helped us at all. But this week we put faith in him against West Ham. So he's going up against Benrahma, but I guess he could save a penalty from Benrahma, potentially.
Yeah.
But we'll see with Ward. And then the last 2 picks, again, Bueno, backup, Everson, backup, in case Ward is injured for some reason. So that's our weekly wildcard draft, or our free hit sort of suggestion, with some pretty expensive players to start with and some cheap alternatives if you don't have that much money. So that is it for the weekly wildcard draft. We'll look ahead to our game week 16.
Who is the name of the player that you would buy him once and forever?
As you can see in my potential moves, I'm already considering bringing him in, and it is Leandro Trossard. I have professed my love for Trossard plenty of times. Like I just said, De Zerbi has said that he's one of his strikers, so he's going to be playing out of position.
Yeah,
he's just been amazing pretty much all season. He hasn't performed in my team when I had him against Nottingham Forest, but he's been so good. I think he's going to go to a Big Six team in the summer. So I'm expecting big things from Trossard already this week. So that's why I'm considering doing the double move, because I need to get Haaland. If he's starting, I need to get Haaland in as captain. I'm even going to do a -4 transfer hit to bring him in, because he'll be my captain. So if Haaland is starting, I'm going to have to sell Kevin De Bruyne rather than Salah. I have more faith in Salah than KDB, just because I feel like with Haaland in, I'm already covered in terms of Man City. Kimo has made this point as well in the group chat and when we talked before the podcast, that you want to be covered in terms of both Liverpool and Man City. That makes sense. If I have Haaland captain, I should just have Salah as the second option rather than KDB.
Yeah.
I can easily see Haaland getting a lot of points and KDB getting nothing, but I can't really see KDB getting nothing and Haaland, or KDB getting a lot of points and Haaland getting nothing if they're both starting. So that's why
you never know. It's so difficult to see KDB blanking on that form. It's really difficult.
I don't see KDB blanking, but I still think Salah is the better option. So that's why I've gone with selling KDB to fund Haaland rather than the other way around.
Okay. So if Salah blanks and KDB does something, it's so typical, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
It had happened many times this season that once you see Salah was in form, he got back to what a real Salah is, and then you have high hopes and you might even captain or whatever, and then he will blank. I don't know. It's so difficult. It's so difficult to expect Liverpool for 2 or 3 stable games in a row. Exclude the Champions League. I'm sorry. Premier League is something else.
Kimo, in regards to all that, just going with the eyeball test, both Salah and Haaland, eyeball test wise, both look better than KDB in that regard, right? Because like Haaland looked so much better in the game against Fulham than KDB did in way less minutes.
Yeah, but my point, Kevin, is I think is about Liverpool. Liverpool is as a team is they are not stable. You know what I mean? They play one good game. Everybody thought about after Bournemouth's game, 9-0, and then they are back. And then they disappointed again, and then they won against Chelsea. Okay, Salah is back, Liverpool is back, and then they got beaten twice from Leeds and Nottingham.
Sure. So fine, but it doesn't change the fact that Salah has been out of, on fire and back to his normal self.
He's been good the whole season. Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
And he's showing a lot of determination and sharpness, and so when he played on the wing, he's lethal. He's dangerous. He's one of the top 5 players on the world anyway. So you expect him to do well each and every game. But the thing is, it depends on the system where they play, how they play as a team. Are they on focus or the formation they are playing? So sometimes Klopp does something. I think Klopp is getting closer to a formation where Darwin is happy and effective. Salah is happy and effective. Firmino is helping. I think also Firmino will. If I'm going to 1 week punt, by the way, I forgot to mention, I would go Firmino. He's disappointed not choosing to be in the World Cup. So he wants to do something. So the link up between Firmino dropping a little bit back and then Darwin and Salah up on top is a little bit working. So I think Klopp is trying. So
yeah, back to my transfer plans. KDB.
Yeah, that was your team. Sorry about that.
KDB out. Nah, fair enough. You can speak up anytime you want, both of you guys. But yeah, KDB to Trossard and Skamaka to Haaland is what I'm thinking initially. But if I get news that Haaland isn't starting, I'm probably just going to keep it to one transfer, and that's selling Skamaka. And if Haaland isn't starting, then Alvarez is probably starting. So I think that would be the transfer I lean towards.
Martial, you're not gonna do Martial. I don't think so.
Martial, if he starts, if he's starting for Man United,
come on,
you're never gonna do it.
You're never gonna do it.
Watch me. No, I'm probably not gonna do it. But he's one of the other options, him or Mitrovic, if Mitrovic is fit. But as I was about to ask earlier, because Mitrovic is obviously like unsure in terms of his injury issues. The same goes for Haaland, but the difference between Haaland and Mitrovic is that Haaland is not playing in the World Cup, as I know, as a Norwegian guy. Yeah. he's not playing in the World Cup while Mitrovic is. So do you think that will affect the team sheets this week if the players are playing in the World Cup or not? Do you think they'll be picked if they have an injury? Like
After Manny news, I think so. I think they will be more careful. If you have seen Benzema performance the last 3 game weeks, he's very careful at each and every touch, and that affected his performance.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think it's been sort of like a open secret that players are very reluctant to give 100% and all this type of stuff, and especially when in the case of Mitrovic, who's already had niggles and stuff like that, 100%. I think players will try and see if they can get either their minutes lowered or just not play at all.
Only one person who doesn't do that, which is De Bruyne. If you see him playing last game week, like running like a horse in the 90 minutes or something, and he was also clashing with the goalkeeper at one of the balls, and it was so dangerous. You know what I mean? Could have like hit head to head or something like that. So I think De Bruyne is a different. That's why he's a world class player. But I think I agree with you, Matthias and Kevin.
Yeah, so that's basically my plans. I have considered not bringing in Haaland even if he is starting, just because I have faith in Salah as a captain. But
you don't dare.
You don't dare. That's the biggest pile of bullshit I've heard in a while.
It's Brentford, and I've read like City have scored 70 goals in the last game week.
That's exactly it. Like I'm imagining City scoring a lot of goals. So yeah,
especially Haaland. You know, one theory for me, Matthias, sorry about interrupting. One theory for me about Haaland, like he's not going to the World Cup, and I think if I were him, I would love to be remembered before going to the World Cup. Just do like some good final goodbye game before all the attention and all the lights being stolen from me. Go to the World Cup. So I think he will go fucking crazy if he starts.
Yeah.
So just Kevin.
Yeah, sorry. No, I totally agree with that because people are sort of sleeping on him lately. So he needs to make a statement game, and I think this is the one.
Yeah,
a final hat trick at home before he leaves.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Would you triple
100%.
captain him? Would you triple captain him?
No, I'm waiting with triple captain until I get a double game week.
Okay,
always my policy.
I've wanted to triple captain him so many times this year, but it's always you gotta wait for the double game week.
This is not correct.
And you'll get injured, or Pep will bench him.
I mean, Kevin and I have one of the guys who stayed at Kevin's flat after his birthday, James, who's playing his first time in FPL this season. He triple captain Haaland this year, and it was against Liverpool when he got 2 points. So. That's what you get for triple captaining Haaland in the single game.
Delete his number,
So,
Or you triple captain him against United at home, and then he got the hat trick. And
you know what? I'm still living on the dream of triple captaining De Bruyne last year with 4 goals and 1 assist. Oh my fucking god, that was a beautiful feeling.
I'd rather not transfer Haaland in than triple captain him in a single game week when he's going to have double game weeks coming up. So
okay. Move on.
I'll die on that hill. But anyways, that was enough with my team. Let's move on to Kevin's plans, because you obviously have Haaland and Foden still, because you didn't do the transfers during your hairdresser section last game week.
Of course, and I already done 2 transfers anyway, so I would have gone -8, which would have been stupid anyway. So I guess in terms of potential moves, all of a sudden Lampard's like, DCL, it'll be a shocking surprise if he plays this weekend. I'm like, what, we're meant to play Maupay again? Should I bring Maupay in? Is that a potential move? No, God no. So I guess my potential moves are, depending on whether Haaland plays or not, or starts or is injured. If not, I'll just do a simple move, DCL Jesus, because I can afford it. And I think Jesus away against Wolves, it's not the best game. It's not the worst game. It's a nice send-off for him to go to the World Cup, because at the end of the day, he needs to show that he is the starting striker for Brazil. And in Brazil, Jesus is not rated as a striker because he's constantly not playing in these championship games that Brazil have played in with both Copa Americas and etc. So I think Jesus wants to make a statement. This is the game to do so. And in regards to whether if Haaland's injured, Kane and Alvarez for DCL and Haaland makes so much sense, because Alvarez, as Matthias knows, since his River Plate days, I've been singing his praises, and I wanted him to be signed by Barcelona for 20 million back in January, a year or two ago. So, I think Alvarez can score easily 2 goals against Brentford, and I think Kane can also just go absolutely ham. But it all depends on the Erling news, so I have to wait and see.
Yeah, I just have one question in terms of if Haaland is not playing and you do the second option with Kane and Alvarez in, who would you captain that game week?
Salah, 100%.
So still Salah 100%.
I still think all three of them are good choices. It's just because I'm just going on form, and Salah is, he's the man of the hour currently. So yeah, I think that's why I think I pick him, and also because I reckon, regardless of Southampton getting a new manager or not, they're gonna get pumped.
Kimo, looks like you disagreed.
No, I don't disagree. I don't feel like Salah is a man of the hour. I just didn't get 3 Premier League games from Salah where he is scoring. He scored 6 goals, guys. Come on, 6 goals. That's like less than Mitrovic, less than Ivan Toney, less than Almiron. Less than Foden.
Okay, just sorry to interrupt. If you had done Salah to Almiron, you'd be like, yes, I've been getting some Almiron things. But if you didn't have him last week, you'd be the first person to break your phone.
No, I know his record against Tottenham. He scored like a lot of goals, and I know that there's an open game, and Conte and Klopp commented about their style of play previously, and so on. So I knew 100% that he will score. But the thing is, before this game of Tottenham, he scored 4 goals. So he scored around 40 or like 30% of his goals the last game week in the Premier League. I am playing the Premier League game. I don't care about his performance in the Champions League. They are playing against different teams, different circumstances. So he didn't score consistency, like in a consistent way for 3 games in a row. That's my point. I'm not gonna captain Salah, not even a vice captain for sure. But I will be supporting him like hell to score and make like an impact before the World Cup as well. And I really wish him to do good. He's been having a lot of dreams and hopes and personal records targets this season after a disappointment of not reaching the World Cup or winning the AFCON and getting away suddenly to the shadow for the Golden Boot, like the Ballon d'Or and so on. So he wanted to do much better season. That's what I expected him. But again, it's a problem. It's not in Salah and his mentality. He's a monster. It's just Liverpool is not stable team. We'll see. Saturday is not so far, but I'm really jealous of Foden is starting and you having him in your team without doing transfer. That's you're a much better position than me and Matthias actually.
Yeah.
And if you can get Kane, go for it.
Definitely.
Definitely.
I am considering what other ways to get Kane, whether I get rid of Wilson or something stupid like that, like, because I like majority of my team. It's just a question of, like, will Wilson, I don't know what the situation is with Wilson currently, if things have gone better or worse, because if he's not going to play against Chelsea, and Joelinton, who I don't think made it, could play striker, blah 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 blah.
No, I don't think so. Chris Wood.
Chris Wood scored. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Yeah, Chris Wood could come in and do the job, and if that's the case, I mean, currently I feel like this game week, it matters, but it also doesn't in some strange way, in the sense of, like, we're all going to be changing our teams next week, so I might as well do maybe a cheeky punt, and Kane doesn't seem like the worst option, especially at home against Leeds.
Only thing is you'd have to do a -4 to get Kane in. So if you're not selling Haaland, assuming he's starting, like if Haaland is benched and you're selling him, fine. But if Haaland is starting, you have to do a -4 and sell probably, I don't know who you could sell even to afford Kane for DCL. So I think that's an issue, doing a -4 when you can only get 1 game week of returns from him. I don't know, taking hits at the moment seems like a waste for me. I've been taking hits too liberally this season, and that's something I'm trying to cut back on. But Anyways, that's my final suggestion for you. Probably stay away from -4 hits, even though Kane has a good fixture.
Yeah.
He still has to make up the 4
What if he
points.
scores 2? Okay, yeah. Don't listen to Mateus about strikers and Mateus. Striker advice on Mateus. Don't mix. Don't listen to Mateus. Go for Kane, Kevin. If you can, go for Kane. But yeah, I wanted to do bad anyway, so
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I could be having your season instead.
yeah,
Oof,
we'll see
burn.
about that.
Let's see what Kimo's plans are to.
Oh, look
get
at that.
ahead of
Oy,
somebody.
That's like the headache. That's like the Erling news. That's like the Erling news. I have so many plans. Every single plan of them depends on the early news. I'm gonna be in Egypt. So I'm going to Egypt this Friday, traveling to Egypt at Friday, arriving at Saturday midnight around 2 a.m. or something. So the next day, I decided in the morning I'm gonna meet some of my friends. We'll go to the pyramids around the deadline. So what I'm gonna do will be in front of the pyramids, parking a car, really hot, sunny, nice weather, refreshing my phone to get an early team news and trying to either most likely having Holland in my team, captaining him, and wish that Foden is starting. Then I will sell KDB, have Foden, and then cover the City midfield. If Holland is not starting, then I will be definitely keeping Alvarez. Sorry about that. And I will be selling Sikmaka for Darwin, or yeah, that would be perfect. That would be perfect scenario. And I want Madison. I want so many things, but again, it depends. I'm not moving Saka or Martinelli, Trossard, Cancelo, Trippier. Just about shuffling up Alvarez, Sakamaka, De Bruyne based on the team news. So I really, really wish that Holland is not playing so I can keep Alvarez and buy Foden. Yeah. But I do want to see Sakamaka in my team.
Yeah. I think obviously you can see the potential moves on the right there. The top one is if Foden and Haaland are both starting, you'll bring them both in. If only Haaland is starting, you'll bring in Madison rather than Foden. And the point of contention here is if you rather sell KDB or Salah. Obviously, if you're bringing in Foden, obviously you have to sell KDB because you'd have too many City players.
Yeah.
But if you're not bringing in Foden, you can choose between Salah and KDB. So,
yeah.
Kimo, you've been a bit like me and Kevin are big Salah supporters, while you, the Egyptian, has been more wishy-washy in terms of Salah versus KDB. But
I love Salah. I love Salah, just Liverpool. But I think City has more potential to knuse Brentford, like to
crush in Norwegian. Yeah.
Crush, yeah, that's a Norwegian word of crush Brentford. I think so.
Yeah. So you're still, if Foden is not starting, you're gonna sell Salah or you're gonna sell KDB?
No, I'll sell KDB.
You'll sell. Okay, so you keep making the arguments for keeping KDB and then you say you're going to sell him. I don't understand.
Yeah, because I'm speaking theoretically of what I see in reality, but I know that everybody else in my mini league has Salah. I cannot risk going without them. So this only particular game week, I will play it safe. I will keep Salah just because you guys have him and most of my friends have him in the other mini league.
So
but theoretically, I would be laughing when we record the next game week after the record. I would say, "Do you remember that game week against Southampton? I was right."
Okay, but just again, like you said, no, you're gonna sell KDB rather than Salah. But currently, your captaincy is on KDB rather than Salah. So are you captaining Salah then? If Haaland's
because if Haaland is starting, he'll be in my team, and then I'll put the captaincy on Haaland, 100%.
Yeah, but if Haaland is not in the team, you'll captain.
I'll captain KDB for sure, 100%.
Rather than Salah, even though you just said you'd sell KDB rather than Salah.
No. If KDB is staying in my team and Haaland is not playing, and Foden is not gonna be in my team, then I will captain De Bruyne. Of course, I would love to see De Bruyne a captain on my team rather than Foden, 100%.
So if you want to sell De Bruyne or Salah, you should sell Salah unless you want to protect your rank in your Egyptian league.
Yeah.
But if you captain someone, you should captain De Bruyne rather than Salah.
Absolutely, no brainer. If Haaland is not playing, and if anybody has De Bruyne, go ahead and captain him.
Fair enough. We'll see the next time we do a podcast what happened in this game.
No, we'll be speaking on the WhatsApp
For
I'll
sure.
be sending you my sad or happy pictures in front of the pyramids when Holland when Holland is scored. So yeah, we'll see. But it's gonna be intense. I hope the internet will be good in front of the pyramids when I do this. But yeah, it's something I want to do. I'm arriving really late at night. I'm gonna sleep some hours. Next day, meet some friends in the morning, take a coffee, go to the pyramids, have a good time, see the game. Oh, not see the game inside the pyramids. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll not see the first game, but just yeah, I miss Egypt, so I'm looking forward to go there.
Yeah. That leads into our outro. Until next time, that's the thing. We don't know exactly when we'll get to see our Gameweek 16 scores because Kimo will be in Egypt. Obviously, the fantasy content will take a break as well. But Kevin and Kimo is going to get a break, well-deserved with vacation in his home country of Egypt. But Kevin and I will keep it going here with the World Cup fantasy game. We're going to have, next Wednesday, we're going to have our teams and going through the groups and all that stuff, Kevin and I. So look ahead for that. Obviously, you can do all the things in the meantime. You can subscribe, like, share, comment, everything on YouTube and stuff. And we have some other platforms as well that Kevin can speak more about. He's the social media manager at our podcast. So yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we still have the Instagram, we still have Twitter. You can find us on Spotify now, which has been a really cool thing to be able to see. iTunes, we're just waiting on verification, but that's going to be coming up very soon and very shortly too. We're also on Facebook, and just expect a lot more content just going forward, especially with the World Cup. There's going to be so much fun and so many things that we can talk and discuss. There's just a plethora of players that we want to see do well, both from the Premier League. So because of that, we're obviously going to do a FPL sort of watch list from the players that are left in the World Cup, and just to see how that will translate into their league matches and club matches in that regards. But there's a lot of content. All I can say is that watch the space. Chemo have the best time in Egypt, and we'll do our best to make sure to keep the ship going, steering it towards the correct direction anyways.
Thank you, guys. I'm gonna miss you. It has been a pleasure. I think we've been improving every time. I really enjoyed this podcast. It's been smooth episode. We talked a lot about one single boring game week in a good way. So and I would have really loved to participate in the World Cup discussion. I mean, why do I love football in the first place? It's a World Cup. It's where it all starts. You know what I mean? Our passion to football and the Premier League and everything comes after. So since I was a kid, my first memory of football is World Cup in '94 in the United States of America. I think the first memory I have of a game was USA against Colombia. That game, that Escobar, or what was the name of the guy who scored an own goal and then he got shot.
I remember.
Yeah. So and then I think I got my first football T-shirt, Italy in '94, and I remember like Romania and Sweden and some games, Bulgaria here and there, and not everything in details. But then you go in the street, you hear people Maradona, and then this is where I fall in love with football. So I would have loved to give some opinions here and there about World Cup. Some international teams has been really decreased since the social media, and everybody had like an access to watch the local leagues abroad. So the international teams has popularity has decreased a little bit, but I never forget that this is where it all starts. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I also hope you have a nice time in Egypt. We'll definitely be in touch personally. Just one final thing that Kevin didn't mention was that you can also join our leagues. We have 2 mini leagues. We have one for FPL and one for World Cup Fantasy. So if you want to join our FPL mini league, you can go in and enter the league code, which is 6IYV7U. And if you want to join World Cup Fantasy, you can join the league code there, which is RB73AUTS. So that's how you join our mini leagues. We'll be looking forward to see you there. We'll be looking forward to see you in the next few podcasts. Like you mentioned, we've had this podcast is still a work in progress. We still improve every week. And now the next FPL podcast will be over a month from now. So by then I'll probably fix some of the graphics. I'll look into what changes we can make. It's probably going to be a way better podcast. We might also start live streaming straight away after we come back from the World Cup.
Looking forward to
That's
that.
also been a goal for us, to live stream the content so we have it out quicker for you.
Yeah.
So that's also something we will look into, definitely. So yeah, that's it for now. Looking forward to see you again. World Cup Fantasy next Wednesday, me and Kevin, and then we'll be seeing Kimo around the new year for FPL.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for now.
Hopefully 10th. Yeah, that's it for now for me. Good night.
See ya.
Take care.
Good news.
And please see us on OnlyFans coming soon.
Yes.
Maybe TikTok instead, but we'll see.
Okay, all right.
Kevin
Cheers,
will be
guys.
OnlyFans with his new haircut, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure
Okay,
enough.
cheers.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.